In this video, I'll show you how to add all of your information from PostgreSQL to Geoserver. So the first thing we want to do is let's go to QGIS. So what we're going to do here is we're going to connect to our PostgreSQL database, log work. So that's Postgres, Postgres. Okay. Open up our public. Okay, so we want the Corrine Pete files. So we've got all these logs. We want geopol. We can hide that. And then Irish counties is contained within geopol. So really this is all we want. So our policies and our peatlands. So what we want to do is we want to get an idea of how this is going to look once it's on the website. So if I add my OpenStreetMap, this is what it will look like. So I don't want the policy regions to show. So I'm going to go to Properties and Symbology, and I'm going to turn the opacity to complete. I'll make that opacity there, or to 0, completely transparent, and say OK. Great. So I like that. So I'll go back to properties. That is what I want. I will say save style as SLD. So we're going to be using this later in Geoserver. So we're going to save this in our Mapathon, and I will say policy, policy. And so that will save as policy.sld. Okay. Okay, great. And for the peatlands, I'll make them green. Yeah, I think that is a fine green there. Okay, so I will go down, save style, again, SLD, and I will call it peatlands, and it'll save as SLD. Okay, great. So this is what we're going to have on our website. I can close out of QGIS now. All right, so now let's go to localhost at 8080/Geoserver. I'll log in, admin, Geoserver. So the first thing we need to do is go to workspaces and add a new workspace. I'm going to call it Mapathon, and I'll put the namespace URI as Mapathon. Technically, it should go to something that looks like an URL, but it's fine. Default workspace, save. Great. Okay. So now we'll go to stores and add a new store. So this is where we're going to connect to our PostgreSQL database. So we will select PostGIS. So our workspace, Mapathon, data source name, I'll call it Postgres DB. Enabled, localhost 5432. Database that I want is log work. Also, you could just check whatever database the name is. User is Postgres, and the password should also be Postgres. Everything else should be able to be left to the defaults. So we'll say apply and save. Okay, so we have Mapathon, Postgres here. All right, so now let's go to layers. And we will add a new layer from our Postgres database so it can see all of our layer names. So we want Geopol and Corrine Pete. So we'll start with Geopol. The name is Geopol. We'll scroll down. Now the important things here are the bounding boxes. So for the native bounding box, we will compute from data, and then lat long, we will compute from native bounds. So we have all these fields, and there is a publishing section, but we won't go to that until after we've done the styles. So this first, save, geopol, great. Now let's add our Postgres, our Corrine Pete. So again, we'll scroll down, compute from data, compute from native bounds, and save. Now we have those. Let's go to styles now and add a new style. This is where those SLD files come in handy. So the style we'll call Peatlands, workspace, mapathon, and we will upload documents, mapathon, Peatlands SLD, upload. Great, so it's been populated here. So we will validate, no validation errors, and save. So we have Peatlands down here, and we'll add a new style, and this will be policies. Workspace, mapathon, upload, policy.sld, upload, validate, and save. Okay, now back to layers. So right now, if we go to layer preview, we'll see what Geopol and Corrine Pete currently look like. So if I go to open layers, that is what our policy layer looks like. And if I go to Corrine_Pete, there are Peatlands. So they're just plain and gray. So now what we're going to do is go back to layers, and first we will do the policies. So I'll go to the publishing tab up here and scroll down, and here are our layer settings. So the default style that we're going to use is mapathon policy. So there we are, and we will save. Now, if we go to Corrine Pete, we'll go to publishing, scroll down. The default style we want is mapathon Peatlands. We can see got the green there. All right, save. Now, if we go to layer preview, so if we open Geopol now, it's empty. This is what we want because we want the policies to be transparent. We don't want them visible. And then if we open up Corrine Pete, here are Peatlands. Great. So this is all looking how we want. Everything's live. So now all we have to do is get our GitHub set up.